Right. So we'll continue from the point that we stopped. So in last week, so what we discussed that I was reminding you was, so in the relational data model, there were more constraints than the ER data model. So we had domain constraint, which specifies that the range of data which can exist in the database and whether there were constraints on null, and then there was the entity integrity constraint which specifies that there should be only one primary key for a relation, and if there are candidate keys, only one of them can be declared as the key. And also uh, in mapping of these relationships of the ER diagrams as tables in the representational data model, there were referential integrity constraints. So those were called as structural constraints. So those were a type of constraints that we discussed last week. And today we will be discussing another type of constraint known as data constraints. So these data related constraints are not highlighted or shown in ER diagrams. So these constraints exist between the attributes of a given table, or in other terms, a given relation. So assume that there is a relation, or in other terms, a table, and there could be relationships between the attributes, right? So some of the structural constraints that you saw last week, so they are also sometimes highlighted in ER diagrams also. Not the domain constraint, but constraints like referential integrity constraint. So those things are shown as relationships in ER diagrams, and also the entity integrity constraint. The primary key can be underlined in an ER diagram. So then that also can be represented. But these dependencies, these data dependencies are related only to the attributes, and those are not represented in ER or high level database model. So we'll move on to see what these things are, but some only a small fraction of this data dependency is displayed in ER model as partial key. Only that dependency is shown. So you will if you can remember what is a partial key, the set of attributes which are going to form a key is called a partial key. So only that is shown in ER diagrams. So we'll see how the partial key is represented in relational model, and what is the definition, what is a key. So those things we will be going to discuss in this lesson, right? Okay, so this is an example of a relation, or in other terms, a table in a relational data model, right? So by looking at the first instance, this is underlined, you can see, so okay, this should be a key, and these three could be part of a key. That is, these three form partial keys. So all of these three together will form a key, right? So there are some definitions or terms that you need to understand when you are going to learn about the data dependencies or relationship, in other terms, relationship between the attributes, right? So this thing you already know what is known as a partial key. So these three attributes are in ER diagrams known as partial key. So it can be even called a partial key in a relational model also, but the usual term for such a partial key is known as prime attribute. prime attribute. So the partial key is known as a prime attribute. That is any attribute which is part of a key attribute. That means what is a key attribute? A key attribute is having distinct or different tuples. So tuples are records, different records for each instance of this table. For example, if you take these three values together, this row is different to this row. These three values are not repeated. So if you compare this also, in each of the rows, they are not repeated. That means if you take one attribute, they can be repeated, but if you take these three attributes together, those things cannot be duplicated. So this is a partial key. This is a prime attribute. This is a prime attribute. This is a prime attribute. Because even though there is only one attribute, this is also a prime attribute because the attribute itself is going to produce the key, right? So I have notated and shown what are the prime attributes here. So if any attribute forming a key is known as a prime attribute. So then the remaining attributes are known as non-prime attributes. So the module and age attributes are not called non-prime attributes, right? So you can represent, show like this, right? So this constraint you already know. So last week I introduced this constraint. That means, so in this case, there are two candidate keys. So what are the candidate keys? UPF number is one candidate key, and these three together is another candidate key. So as we learned last week in the entity integrity constraint, only one key can be declared as the primary keys. So only one of them can be declared as primary key, other will be declared as unique. So when we instantiate a table, it must be constrained to unique. Unique means cannot have duplicates. So when we instantiate the database using client software like what we will be doing today, using MariaDB client. So you will see how we are going. If there are two keys, we have to use another, the secondary one. We have declared the secondary one with unique attribute, indicating that it is a key, a candidate key. Okay, next. So I here have considered this one as the primary key, right? But even if you want, you can consider this one as the primary key. So next we will move on to learn about keys and super keys. So I told you that this is a key and this is a key. But isn't it that these three together and this and any other attribute will also have distinct tuples? Or in other terms, if you take this UPF number, so if you take UPF number with another attribute, like for example, consider age. So if you get UPF number and age, so this is this UPF number and this age, does it appear anywhere else? No. These two together do not appear anywhere else. These two together do not appear anywhere else. These two together also same. So that means a key and another non-prime attribute. So a key and another non-prime attribute, if you combine them, then those tuples will also be distinct. Those records or those tuples, or in other terms, those rows will also have distinct values. So a key and a non-prime attribute or even a prime attribute together will form a thing known as super key. So the condition for super key is having distinct tuples as I explained here. So the key alone itself will form distinct tuples, no doubt, but a super key, a key with another non-prime attribute like this also can have distinct tuples. But the fact is, so if you get these two together, if you remove age, still the UPF number itself can form distinct tuples. So in such a case, so there is so the definition for super key is having distinct tuples. So UPF number and age both together will form a super key. But can age alone without the help of UPF number, it cannot form a super key because age can be equal. Age can be equal like this, age can be equal. So it will not have distinct tuples. So a super key is a case where it have distinct tuples. But the definition of key is a key is a minimal super key. That means if you cannot remove any attribute from a key without violating it being a super key. For example, if you take these three, so these three together will form a key. These three together will form a key. If you remove employee name, then these two together will not be anymore a super key. These two together, because these three together can form a key, but if you remove any attribute, then these two together will not form a key or a super key. So then that means this is a minimal super key. This is a minimal super key. So as I explained, this key with another non-prime attribute can form a super key, right? So, but as I said, a key is a minimal super key. That means if you remove any attribute from a key, then it will not be anymore a super key. For example, like this. In this case, if you remove, it will not be a key. So this kind of a super key is known as a minimal super key. So this is a minimal super key. These three together. You can add more attributes and form super keys, but if you remove any attribute from this, then it will not any longer be a super key. So such a super key is known as a minimal super key, or in other terms, key. So these three together is a key. These three together, this one is a key because this is only one attribute. If you remove that attribute, then there is no attribute and there is no key. So I hope you understood the concepts of keys and super keys. So super key, the condition is only distinct tuples, but for key, it is also distinct tuples, but it is the minimum combination of attributes like this. You cannot have non-prime attributes. Only the prime attributes can combine to form a key, right? Okay, so that is some definitions about keys, super keys. So having that knowledge, now we will come to the topic of the lesson, which is the data dependencies. So the first data dependency that you come across is known as functional dependency, right? So we'll see what is this functional dependency. So a functional dependency can occur from a prime attribute to a non-prime attribute, right? So, so what we discussed last week were schema-based constraints, or in other terms known as structural constraints, right? Schema-based constraints were the ones that we learned last week. So what were